if a hidden immunity idol is played, then any votes cast against that person do not count, and the person with the next highest number of votes would be voted out. This is not.
This, however, is not.
This is not.
This is not a hidden immunity idol.
What's up, everyone? This is not a hidden immunity idol podcast. I'm Jared, here with Tina. We're back. It's been a little bit, but things happen.
It's been like 3 weeks.
It has been like 3 weeks, but hey, we had the holidays and we had some other stuff going on. So whatever, we're here now. This one, we're caught up. We're back on schedule. Going to talk a little bit about last episode 9, 2 episodes ago, technically. So if you're listening and you don't care about episode 9 or our thoughts on it at this point, you can go ahead and skip ahead in this one to when we start covering this most recent episode 10. But getting right into it, back on episode 9, I want to talk about it because it was kind of interesting, had a little bit of spice or zest to it, you might say. We start the episode with Owen being pissed at James for telling him that they were voting Ryan. There was a situation at like the water well or something. I think that was this episode. Either way, Owen felt like he was left out of the vote. James doesn't really care because he doesn't really align with Owen anyway. Come to find out, he wants to smoke Owen because Owen has written his name down, he feels like, in the past couple of tribals. And at the same time, we've got Sammy stirring the pot, telling everyone saying that everyone is scared of James. I don't think anyone is really scared of James, but James definitely had the persona that he was the boss Don of the whole game. He was letting the clout and the fact that he pulled a couple of strings get to his head, and he was walking around like the boss. As I've said a million times, once you take on that boss Don mindset, it's pretty much a wrap for you, because the boss Don always gets taken out because they become so inflated and in their own ego and thoughts, they don't even see, people coming after him and trying to take him out. So, we'll see what, and that kind of foreshadows the end for James, right? But yeah, he foolish decision on his part, foolish mindset. So then we get to the immunity challenge, right? Because again, the episodes skip right to him. We had 2 teams of 5 competing for immunity in this challenge. So at the end, 2 folks were going to go home. Not much to say about the challenge itself. Cody and Carla end up winning immunity. I think that's big because Carla got her in a individual immunity win, adding to that resume, something that, she's one of the favorites on the show, and we kind of were questioning, can she pull it off? Can she pull off an individual immunity in order to stack that resume high enough to go with some of the strategic play she was doing? So a huge victory, not only for Carla, but for our Carla agenda that we are pushing on this show. So she got it. She took it. And immediately post the challenge, you got the blockhead Ryan wanting to go after Cassidy, him and Gabler apparently. But at the same time, we've got Owen and James arguing and pretty much officially, cementing their beef, right? Again, like I said earlier, James was pissed off that Owen voted for him, and this is the water well situation. This is where they started arguing, actually. I mentioned the water well earlier, but they cement their beef at the water well on episode 9, where they start arguing because, again, James thinks Owen tried to take him out, and Owen is mad that James said vote for Ryan, but they ultimately voted for Janine in episode 8 and took her out. again, excuse me, right? He feels like James is running the show, but leaving him out at the same time. And he claims he's willing to work with James and vote correctly, but he just was being left out, and that pissed him off. So I mean, they get into it. They start loud talking to each other, screaming at each other. Like we said, official beef, which is good to see. It was too much kumbaya on this season so far, so I'm glad we had some folks squabbling and beefing it out. Because yeah, it spices things up for sure. And ultimately, they don't resolve anything. Owen storms off, has to sit by himself. Again, the beef is official, so it's safe to say that Owen is officially gunning for James at this point in episode 9, and I'd say it's the same thing for James, right? Low key behind the scenes, though, while this is sort of playing out and going on, we've got Cody and Jesse cooking up. And they're, in episode 9, they showed that they are lurking in the shadows, but controlling and pulling a lot of strings in the game itself, which is interesting to see and fun to watch. They link up with Gabler and pull Gabler into their alliance. And Gabler, he wants to feel the love. He wants to feel wanted. So he jumps in immediately, right? And, I mean, Gabler went from the target of the yellow squad when we had the teams to now he's looking like he could pull a few strings, call some shots if he plays his card right. He's kind of in the middle where Cody and Jesse are laying low with him. Yeah, nobody's really gunning for Gabler. He's got an individual immunity win, so we'll see if he can take advantage of it and step right with them. So then we go on, and Noelle ends up talking to James, right? And she convinces James that she is going to use her steal a vote advantage on Owen's vote to take Owen out. But in reality, her plan is to vote James out and blindside him. Again, back to the whole Boss Don thing. James just goes right along with it. No sort of sussing, no sort of, sounds a little too good to be true. He doesn't see Noelle coming, right? She is one of the most untrustworthy people in the game, right? I wouldn't really want to align myself with her personally, but James thinks he's all good, right? And that steal a vote is going to work his way.
She really tried to make a name for herself with that move. I mean, she lied really well.
She did.
That was a good play by her.
It was a good play by her.
The one thing I'm noticing about a lot of people on this season is that they're actually thinking things through, like, all the way before they do something. Like, they know that they have to approach it in a certain way based on, how whoever they're going to speak to will interpret something, and they're lying very well. So I just hope there's more lying and scheming to come, because this was kind of like, this was a really good blindside.
It was. She pulled it off well. And again, he felt like he was running the show and was untouchable. I don't know why he thought he was the untouchable empire and didn't even take a step back to think, especially with him having that advantage, right? He doesn't even, this was my issue with him. He was too big on himself that he didn't even think, maybe I should control my own fate in this game by using my knowledge as power on Noelle, who I know has an advantage, take her advantage, and use that to guarantee that I can take Owen's vote and vote him out. He just let it play out, thinking that he had the numbers and he had the alliance in the bag. I mean, you can't trust anyone in this game. That's pretty much the whole point of Survivor, right? You have to trust to an extent, but at the end, it's an individual game, and me personally, I would have just used my advantage to take her advantage and get the person I wanted out.
Well, I mean, also, I don't like how everyone, like, if you were paying close enough attention, you would know where, like, 80% of the idols or advantages are. They all had the same, like, beware advantage and all those people ended up getting it. So come the merge, like, only a couple of people tried to suss out who had the idols, And, like, everyone always knows who has an advantage.
Yeah. The only person who did sussing was Jesse.
And so did Ellie. R.I.P. her.
No, once they hit the merge, I'm saying. Because he knows that Carla has an idol. And
No, but I'm saying back when they did, like, Ellie, before she got voted out,
Yeah.
she was sussing out who the bead challenge. She was doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So Janine might know, but no one, like, some of them do know, but everyone knows about the advantages. Like, people shouldn't know that.
Yeah, no.
So the fact that, yes, when people do know it, I don't know how you're not, like, in James's scenario, how are you not thinking that you could be double-crossed? Because everyone is, like, he's just taking it at face value and not thinking that people are going to try to pull one over.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Too trusting in here. It's like, you should be the opposite of that when everyone knows where, like, that you have an advantage. You're obviously a target when you have an advantage immediately. And these people, because they split it in the fives, you don't have your whole, like, you should feel more on edge because it's only 5 people.
Yeah, he didn't have his voting block
right,
like secure. It was because they split it up and some of his folks were on the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that was him being a dumbass and thinking he was running the game and he was untouchable, like calling the shots. Because, I mean, I'm going to be honest. His advantage, like, what the fuck was he holding on to that advantage for anyway? I low-key think that advantage kind of sucked. The knowledge is power, like is it knowledge of power, knowledge is power, whatever, right? I think that one was kind of weak.
It's good if you are the only one that knows someone has an idol and nobody else knows.
Yeah.
But when everyone knows everything, it's literally useless.
I mean, yeah, everyone knows everyone knows he has it.
Wait, but then also you have to be the asshole to, like, take something from someone when everything is out on the table. It's not like you're like basically telling someone you don't trust them out at Tribal as opposed to making a big move.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be good if somebody who wasn't in your alliance had something and you knew about it or you got wind of it and taking a shot and trying to steal it.
Right.
I guess he thought he could trust Noelle, but he shouldn't have. In this situation, he should have just nabbed hers just to guarantee that he could take Owen out. Like, if you're dead set on taking this man out, what's the best way to do it? Then control it your way, right? Use your advantage, take her advantage, and boom, cook him. But I mean, good, fair play to Noelle. It played out.
Yeah.
James was dummy. So while all of this is going on, Noelle is lying to James. Sammy reveals that he wants to work with Carla, but still wants to take out James, which is, and at the same time, he lets her know, like, hey, we can take James out now, and we can kind of dump Owen later on, because Owen is who Carla in this episode wants to vote for just to stay with James. Which is kind of interesting that Sammy wants to work with Carla. He is a bit of a flip-flopper, though, it appears. He's trying to play both sides pretty damn hard at this point, and I don't think it's really, it's not deceiving anyone. I think people kind of can tell that he's playing both sides of the fence. Because 1 minute he's running around with his yellow folks, with Owen and them, and the next minute he's voting with Carla and James. And so, I mean, I get trying to play the middle and play both sides, but he's doing it a little too out in the open and too obvious for my liking. But, hey, we'll see if it plays out for him. At Tribal, Noelle does, as we already talked about, as she told James she would. She plays her advantage, takes Owen's vote, but blindsides James. And he was big mad with the elimination. But he ain't see it coming. Good blindside for Noelle. Got a solid one on her resume at this point. James, you are donkey of episode 9 because you should have seen that coming. And alas, you did not. When we get to the other group of 5 that gets to vote, they had come up with a plan to, depending on who got voted out in the first group, they were either going to take out It was down to Cassidy and Ryan. And just based on seeing James being eliminated, they decided to take out Ryan.
Well, no, I thought that they...
I guess I think that was backwards of what they said they were going to do.
Yeah,
then.
because I think that the three-headed snake they claimed was Cassidy, James, and Carla.
Yeah.
So the original thought that I think it was Jesse, or one of them, Jesse or Cody, said that if we see James, James was voted out, then we might as well go ahead and take Cassidy, and it's only Carla that's left.
Yeah. Yeah, because they didn't want to piss off.
Because they didn't want to go into having, 2 out of 3.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But for some reason, they end up going the opposite and take Ryan out. Let's be honest. It was time for Ryan to go anyway.
Yeah.
Dude was weak at the game. Strategy was terrible. And he was gunning for Cassidy in this one as well. He was gunning for her again in this episode and ended up getting got.
I think there was just more potential to build off an existing alliance, because Cody and Jesse vote with Cassidy, align themselves with Cassidy and Carla, as opposed to just Ryan, who's literally like just him. Like, no one's really aligned with him. Yeah,
he had no alliance. So from that perspective, it definitely was the better move. And again, those two are shadow lords at this point. They are running the game. Everybody might think it's one way, but it's the other. It is the other. It is those two pulling the strings from behind the scenes, because they've had an influence on every one of the most recent votes. So that pretty much sums up episode 9. Quick little recap again. By this point, you've probably already watched it. But yeah, that kind of leads us. So the jury now, before we go along, jury is officially Janine, James, and Ryan at this point. So as we go into episode 10 now, we don't really learn, we kind of knew this, that Jesse has 2 idols, which again, like we kind of already talked about, that's a big deal, just because, he's in the perfect position at this point. He has 2 idols. He knows that Carla has an idol as well. So he knows where all 3 of them are at in the game at this point. And he's right in the middle. So he's in the power position, I'd say. But yeah, in this episode, they decide to do a reward challenge and an immunity challenge. So we hit the reward challenge. For the sake of my sanity, I am just going to let it be revealed that Noelle wins the reward challenge, right? That's all I got to say on that. She ends up picking Sammy, Jesse, and Owen to go on the reward with her. They go to the sanctuary where they get to eat all of this jazz, drink, be merry. Nothing too surprising there. They want to talk strategy there, this, that, and the third. Sammy says he's targeting Cassidy, excuse me. And Owen at the same time says, okay, well then let's split the votes on Cassidy and Carla. Again, this is interesting because Sammy is Lord Flopper. He's claiming he wants to target Cassidy, but he also at the same time wants to work with Carla. And as we know, Carla and Cassidy are in lock and step, right? So what's he going to do, right? There's no telling with this guy at this point, what he's going to do. I think he just kind of makes his mind up as he goes along with it. As the game plays out, he's kind of making up his mind. I thought he was a little more strategic, but at this point, I can't really tell. I think the only piece of strategy he has is that he wants to work with Carla, and he's willing to continue to work with her. But he plays it like he's willing to not work with her. So I don't even know. They get the letters from home as well on this reward. Only thing I got to say about that is the letters from home, super weak. Like, they get all extra emotional about it. Like, dude, you signed up for this game. You knew you were going to be out here for under a month. What do you need these letters from home for? Is this supposed to give you motivation? Like, what are we talking about?
Yes, it motivates them to keep going, because they have no contact with their loved ones. I personally would love if the show was just all cutthroat, no emotions, all scheming, but they obviously want to have a human factor, so they do that.
I mean, I guess I get it for the softies out there, but like at the same, but at the same time, I don't give a fuck about the letters from home. Like, you knew what you were signing up for, and the only thing that you need to be concerned with is the $1 million at the end. That should be your motivation to keep going. You getting closer to touching that million. But whatever. That's just me, I guess. As we get back to the beach where the folks who did not end up going on the reward are, we figure out that Cassidy wants to target Noel. And kind of like we talked about a little bit ago, our man Gabler finds himself kind of right in the middle. And he is aware of this in his little confessional. He finds himself right in the middle, folks wanting to work with him. You've got Cody and Jesse wanting to work with him, and then you've got the other folks who want to take out Cassidy that kind of work with him. So, I mean, Big Gabe is out here. He's low-key in a little bit of a power position as well if he can play his cards right and come correct. I mean, if he can influence a couple of votes, he's got that immunity challenge win under his belt. He might be up to something.
Yeah, hopefully if Gabler can keep his cool, unlike when he blew up at Janine.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
About how her and Ellie were going through his bag. Like, if he could just cool his jets, he could really make a big move.
Yeah.
So hopefully he got it out of his system, because there was really no, like, negative impact for him on that.
Yeah. Even though he was in the right, because they did go through his stuff.
Yeah, but you didn't need to confront her about it.
He stood 10 toes on it.
Like, you didn't need to do that, though.
I respected him after that moment when he didn't need. Obviously, from a strategy perspective,
Well,
that was
what
a
I'm saying.
bonehead move.
I like when people just keep their calm, and then when you vote out the person that you've been gunning for, talk shit at Tribal. That's what I want to see. Literally talk shit as they are getting their torch burnt out.
Yeah.
Like, that's when you talk shit. You don't need to confront people, like, at the beach right before a vote.
I get it, but for me, I liked it because he stood 10 toes on it.
Okay.
It confronted her, then she tried to confront him, and he did not back down from it. He was like, yes, I said this. You did it. Now what? And she ended up getting smoked. I'm liking Gabler the more I think about it. I thought dude was an absolute goof.
You thought he was, like, insane. You thought he was going to get voted out, like, Ep 2.
I mean, dude showed up to the beach in a beanie. Like, was I supposed to respect this man upon first seeing him?
Yes.
Nah. You show up on a tropical island in a fucking beanie? I'm like you said.
Every other season of Survivor, when it rains, they're all freezing. So that's why he brought a beanie.
No.
If you were out there, you'd need a beanie too to keep that head warm.
Well, obviously, because I have no hair.
Okay, then.
Listen, I wouldn't have been wearing that beanie on the beach when I showed up. I would have put it in my bag.
I thought he was literally going to fall out of, like, building the shelter, most of the challenges. Like, he was not really, like,
he was
making
struggling.
it. Like, his lungs were struggling when he was, like, building shelter.
Yeah.
So I am surprised he's made it this far. So he just needs to, like, keep his cool, reserve his energy, and not blow up on anyone or, like, let too much information get out there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly. We'll see. We'll see how he plays it. Because again, he's moving up the ranks for me. I like what I see from Gabler. But we go to the immunity challenge. The immunity challenge itself was super whack, in my opinion. That little balancing thing, building.
the House of Cards.
Yes, it was too much. They were failing way too much for my liking. Like, I understand
One of the hardest ones. It's probably so frustrating, too, because it takes so long to build it.
Yes.
And every time they do this, there isn't someone who... Like, I don't think there's ever been a time where someone built it straight up. I think it always falls at least once.
Oh, yeah. You can't do that one in one try. I don't care who you are. You would literally have to practice that one at home every day before you came out there in order to get right with it. And even then, there's no guarantee, because once you get out there, it's not going to be the first challenge you do. So by the time we get to this point in the game and you do it, you're all mentally fatigued, physically fatigued. You're still going to fuck up. You're like, all you do is take a breath and that shit was falling. I was just like, this is too much. Like, I thought
You would have quit.
I wouldn't have won that one. I mean, undoubtedly.
Obviously, but I think you would have quit. You would have gotten so mad. You would have just been like, I'm just, like, not even going to try.
Probably. There probably would have been a certain point in the game where I'm like, and I see somebody else doing it, I'm like, this isn't even worth my time or frustration at that point. I would have just given up. Yeah, I would have. I would have quit. But Cassidy ends up winning the immunity, which foils the plans of Noelle and her crew. They can now not take Cassidy out, so they want to go hard at Carla at this point. And at the same time, Noelle mentions, right, splitting the vote between Carla and Sammy, I think. Because, again, Noelle is kind of on to Sammy as well, that he's just a flip-flopper.
No, Noelle wanted to split it between Carla and
Cassidy, yeah, but then Cassidy won the immunity.
But then Jesse planted the Sammy seed to Noelle.
Okay.
Because Jesse was, he secretly is plotting to take out Noelle by this point.
Yep.
So he needs to come to Noelle with a plan, a fall guy, because the Cassidy is no longer an option.
Yeah.
So he goes to talk to,
He sets that up smooth, too.
Yeah.
Went and set Sammy up, like you were saying.
Well, yeah, because he went to go talk to Noelle, and Noelle told him to go talk to Sammy.
Yep.
Which she was going to do anyway. And then he basically ratted out Sammy and planted a seed in Noelle's head. So she went into tribal thinking the vote was split between Carla and Sammy.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Jesse went around telling everyone it was Noelle.
Yes. He almost doesn't almost blow it, but again, they loop Gabler back into this because they realize, okay, we need another number. So it was Cody and Jesse. They go get Carla. Obviously, Carla and Cassidy are with it, right? They agree to want to take Noelle out.
Well, so I thought the mistake was them telling Sammy, not telling Gabler, because at this point they have no reason to be suspicious of Gabler. But Sammy literally goes and tells people things all the time right before tribal. So why would you don't need his vote. So why would you tell him?
I don't think they ended up telling. That was Sammy's idea that he brought to Jesse, which, like you said, then Jesse then went and snitched to Noelle. Sammy brought that idea up, and Jesse let him bring that idea up to him in that conversation.
Okay.
So Sammy was kind of already thinking of that because he's the ultimate flip-flopper, and then so he was already on board. So they never showed whether or not Jesse confirmed with Sammy, like, yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
They showed him just immediately going to Noelle and running. So, I mean, I guess at that point they couldn't guarantee that they could get Sammy. I don't know. I guess that's what that was. So that's why they looped in Gabler.
Yeah.
But Gabe, again, back to Big Gabe. Big Gabe was on to them. He's on them now. He realizes, wait, Cody and Jesse are making moves. They're pulling strings. They're making a big move tonight. And he goes and reveals his suspicions to Carla and lets Carla know that he wants to keep an eye on them and possibly take them out at some point. This dude, Big Gabe, is on it. He's with the shits. But yeah, that plan by Jesse too, the way he did that and the way they showed him like playing that out and talking through it, his master plan to take out Noelle, real smooth. I like the way they did that. Do that more, Jeff and the producers. I like seeing the thought process go into these moves. But yeah, Noelle needed to get taken out, and she gets eliminated at Tribal. She obviously needed to be the one to go because she was gaining way too much steam and momentum in this game. And for obvious reasons, you did not want to be with Noelle at the end. You didn't want to get...
She obviously was going to win.
Yes. You didn't want her to... No, we didn't want to see her get to Final 3.
But also, I'm just going to say, like, I understand... Well, I think it's always fucked up when someone picks you for, like, a reward and then that's when you vote them out. Like, that is super fucked up unless that was, like, your plan all along. Like, unless she was at the top of your list and you were like, this is the perfect time to blindside and you've been, like, scheming.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone on this episode all of a sudden was talking about, like, after Cassidy won immunity, they were like, all of a sudden, oh no, Noelle, she's a big threat, blah blah blah. Like, no one has ever said that.
I mean,
it hasn't really been a part of the discussion. So that was my thing. I was like, she somehow won the challenge, but also she picked you for the reward, and then you immediately are gonna get rid of her. Like, how is I don't know.
I mean, because this man Jesse.
Here's the thing about Jesse too, which Jesse is a very smart player. So for that reason, I just don't think that in this moment Noelle was a bigger threat than Carla. Carla has an idol, and you're not in with it with Carla like that. So why didn't you go for Carla? When you obviously Noelle doesn't have she doesn't have idols. She used her advantage.
Yeah.
And you could have taken her out next. She's only won one immunity so far.
Yeah, she didn't. Did she even win an immunity?
Or no, she won a reward.
She won the reward. She didn't even win an immunity.
I don't think she's won an immunity.
Not yet, no.
Carla has won an immunity and has an idol.
Yes.
So in the strategy of the game, why would you not try to flip it on Carla? Unless you don't think you had the numbers, but I think you could have positioned all those same people.
Well, I think Jesse and Cody this goes all the way back to Red when they wanted to take her out back then, I think. And they tried to weaken her by getting rid of her. He said it, like they kept trying to get rid of her right-hand man in each situation, and she found a new one. They got rid of the girl who was her right-hand woman. I forget her name early on in the game. Then she picked up Dwight.
Yeah.
Then her and Dwight were kind of like 1-2 with each other. Then they took out Dwight.
Like for Noelle, I'm just like, how did you not? Why were you not squinty-eyed at these two?
I guess because
you just do the math of like who is the voting block when you're literally she is never a part of the majority vote.
No, and
she's not paying attention. She just decided that she wanted to try to like make some moves.
Yeah. And
like was not paying attention to it. Like nobody except Gabler is like seeing what Cody and Jesse.
Yeah, he's the only one noticing them.
Which makes no sense because they are literally always talking to everyone.
Yeah, I think maybe she was just too on that whole Red thing. Like, yeah, I got them because we're Red. We were Red at some point together. Maybe that's what that was.
Well, I just think like too, it's like Noelle was obviously not suspicious of you. Somehow.
Yeah.
She brings you on a reward to try to she obviously thinks that could be a Final Four. She told you that she doesn't trust Sammy. You could have ridden that out to target Sammy the next vote and then blindside her.
Yeah.
I don't know the strategy in voting out someone who like when there is someone who is available who has an idol, who is also not your super close alliance at this point, why would they not be the bigger threat? Like, the bigger threat in this situation was Carla versus Noelle.
Yes. Are Jesse and Carla not kind of, like, pretty close, though? Or am I making that up? I could totally be making that up.
I think they're cool. Like, it's hard to tell with Jesse. I think he's cool with everyone. Yeah. Because he's playing the middle. The only, like, ride or die he has is Cody.
Yeah.
So, which is why, though, but you have, like, in this particular like point of the game, if you only want to make it to the end with Cody, like, do you even want to make it to the end with Cody? Like, you think you could win against him? I don't know, but like, I know Jesse has to understand that both you don't want to sit next to Noelle or Carla at the end.
Yeah, no.
So in this particular moment, I don't think that was the best strategic move, because if he could have had those same numbers and put it on Carla, but I don't know if he would have the same numbers. So it would be Noelle, Cody, Jesse, Owen would have been 4.
Yes.
Sammy obviously would have had to be excluded from that.
Sammy wants to work with Carla, so he would not have gone with that. It would have been Carla, Cassidy, Sammy, and Gabler finds himself in the middle again. So they would have had to convince Gabler to want to vote out Carla, even though they had to convince him to want to vote out Noelle because he is in love with Noelle. I mean, so yeah, he probably could have
So
been.
that wasn't. I just don't even understand how that wasn't even like brought up at any point.
They must want to
because-
work with Carla. That must be what this is.
Okay,
They must
I hope it, and I hope it's gonna bite them in the ass, and it's about to because Carla and Gabler are about to have an alliance.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. How do you like Carla is in with the shits. Like she has had alliances run pretty like thick through like different groups of
Yeah.
people. And even with the James thing, she like it didn't even affect her.
Because she voted with them.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's flying like she's not under the radar, but she's like steadily like playing. She's also kind of steadily playing the middle.
Yeah.
And I think it was not the most strategic thing for Jesse and Cody, particularly Jesse, because I think Jesse like can see a lot of this. Like, I don't think you needed to so quickly take out Noelle. Like, that was just a chip on your shoulder for whatever reason. That you just wanted to say you finally did it.
Yeah.
But like, strategically,
Carla
Carla
was
was
the
the
better
bigger threat. That would have been just as good of a blindside.
Yeah.
And you would have had Noelle, who like, she is clearly super loyal.
Yeah.
So she would have been like, she would have been your ride or die. That's how she is. She gets her number one, and they're ride or die until she needs another one. You can see that's like her personality.
Maybe.
So if she like, I
Yep.
just don't think that was the most strategic thing.
Maybe they thought like there's no better time than now when her guard is down because she just took me on a reward, so she's feeling a little soft towards me. Let's go ahead and smoke her right now while we can, while her guard is down, and maybe they feel like they can come back to Carla.
But it's the thing is you don't have to convince anyone that you don't want to sit next to Noelle in the final three. So you could have literally gotten everyone to vote for her at any single point. You will not be able to ever convince Sammy to vote for Carla, clearly.
Yeah.
So if you
He's gonna have to dime her out and tell people that she has an idol. What he could have done was taken her out. Nobody else knows she has that idol. Taken her out. Nobody else in the game knows she has the idol. Gone and found that idol. Now he has all idols.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It was more strategy in taking out Carla at that point because
He's the
it
only
doesn't.
one that
It
knows.
literally doesn't matter. Even if you and everyone else get into a fight and it's literally only you and Cody. If you need to have a single person to vote out, everyone would agree to vote out Noelle at any vote at any time because you do not want to sit next to her in the final three.
Yes.
People are sleeping on Carla.
Yes.
And I didn't think Jesse would be so like nonchalant about it because like Carla and Jesse and Cody are like top three to win this game.
Do you want to power rank the rest of the people? With that being said, who do you think is number one at this point? We got 7 folks left. I'll say Cody is number one. I mean, not Cody, excuse me. Jesse is number one for me.
Jesse is number one for me too.
Okay. 2, I'd probably have to by default put Cody at 2 just because he's got, again, the individual immunity thing too. He won one.
He is and he's really good at the social game.
And he's right with Jesse in these moves. So
Carla's number 3.
Carla's 3. 4.
Gabler.
Gabler's 4 at this point, yes. Gabler is legitimately 4. He's top.
Cassidy and Owen and Sammy are all tied for last. Like they're not giving me anything.
Yeah, in that order they can go down in whatever order.
Yeah.
So
it's literally
I think Owen might be last. Owen is a follower to me. He's not pulling any moves. He's a cornball and he's just not doing anything.
Well, that's why I just don't think that you get to a certain point of the game where you have to start thinking about like final 3 and it's not about alliances. So given that's the top 3, surely I think that Jesse and Cody are very strategic players. Like, aren't you doing these types of rankings like normally?
While you're out there, yeah.
People are sleeping on Gabler, but like Carla's the obvious like one right beneath you of top dog playing the game.
Yes.
So the fact that it was not even like talked about trying to get her out when you still had kind of numbers and you can literally nobody wants to sit with Noelle. Nobody is going to like
volunteered.
No one is going to volunteer to sit with her at the end. You at any given point before the final 3, you could vote her out. It's an obvious choice.
And let's be honest,
she's not going to win every single immunity.
She was not.
She hasn't won an immunity. This was her first challenge she won. So
and she barely won it.
If you're talking about Cody, is obviously he'll probably win. He's a big contender to win every single challenge because he's won a lot.
He could go on a run, yeah.
She hasn't won that many, so why would you naturally assume that was a Carla has won an immunity.
Yeah.
Between the two of them,
Carla was the bigger threat.
They were right under ranking wise of your competition.
Yeah.
And knowing Carla had an idol, and knowing that it was so easy to convince people not to take Noelle to the final 3, Carla, I think that would have been the better blindside strategically for Jesse and Cody.
Yeah.
So now I hope that
I see what you're saying.
Carla and Gabler make a super big move and bump up to slots 2 and 3 and get one of them out.
They could definitely, they could move up pretty heavy. That would be big for Gabler too. Being able to take one of Jesse and Cody out. Oh my gosh. If they somehow manage to get Jesse himself out, whew, that could shake the game up. Because my man is moving and shaking. The more I think about it, I was kind of with Cody and Jesse. Get Noelle out of here, right? That's clearly what they just want. They just wanted to do.
You're thinking short term.
Yeah, they just wanted to get her out because they had been wanting to get her out, and they had been wanting to hurt her.
It's not a short term game.
Yeah, I see. I mean, yeah. The more we talk through it, I see what you're saying about Carla. Definitely, it definitely would have been better for Jesse personally too, because again, it comes down to the idol thing. Nobody else knows he has 2 idols. Nobody else knows that Carla has an idol. He would have immediately had the advantage to just run into the jungle and find it, because he wouldn't even have to stress at that point. He could just go in there casually a couple of times and check, because nobody's checking at this point. Nobody's out there looking for idols.
Right, and Jesse was always in every other elimination, I feel like he's always what is better for my game? If I have this person that's loyal to me, why would is it the time to vote them out?
Yeah.
And in this scenario, when you are, how many are left? There's 7 now?
There's 7 now, yeah.
So you went from having a guaranteed block of 4 with Owen and Noelle.
He must have thought that Noelle was not that solid, in that she had the blockhead alpha mentality. She wanted to call shots. She wanted to be in charge. So I think his thought process was, let me nip this in the bud before it even picks up enough steam.
She did, but people get too... I don't know why Jesse was getting so threatened by that, because the difference between Noelle and Jesse is that Noelle talks too much. She tells Jesse fucking everything.
This is true.
So why would you be threatened by that when you are acknowledging that and you're the one that's low-key scheming? So you'll always be one step ahead of her if she trusts you and is telling you what she wants to do.
True.
You get out Carla now, so it's only Sammy and Cassidy and Owen.
Mm-hmm.
All low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
You could easily convince, and then they think that they're in the minority against this foursome that has voted together already.
Yeah.
And on the reward together, minus Owen.
Well, Owen wouldn't even feel like he was in the minority at that point.
Or minus Cody.
Would have been with Noelle and them.
Oh no, yeah, Noelle.
It'd be
Gabler. Sorry.
Yeah,
Gabler would be in the, and Gabler is just
Well, Gabler's with them too.
He's a loose cannon. He was still with them, right?
Yeah, he was.
But now that gets Gabler, Sammy, and Cassidy, if they all felt like they were at the bottom against a foursome, you could pick that. You then could you could work on an alliance with whoever you wanted from there to flip it on Noelle, because none of those people. You wouldn't even need to get Gabler. You could get Sammy. You could get Cassidy. You don't even have to talk to Gabler.
Yeah.
And you would have the numbers to vote out Noelle.
This is true.
And then you'd still have the majority in the group.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Carla would have been the better strategic play for Jesse. Definitely, for sure. I don't know if he's told Cody about her having the idol, but just for him personally, yeah, probably. But now, I mean, shit. Little does he know his game is at risk.
They better blindside one of the two of them.
They are in trouble.
Clearly needs to win immunity.
If they somehow weasel out of this next one, we're gonna have to see. Because I expect one of these two Jesse or Cody to be going home after this next episode, because Gabler he's in the power position himself. Now he's got the chance to fuck shit up. Yeah. Like if he comes in, tells Carla, he's got himself, Carla, Cassidy, Sammy. Gabler is now in the majority again. if he
because Sammy is so easy to convince. He's a flip flopper. All you have to tell him, like the exact same thing he was saying about Noelle. I don't want to sit next to Noelle in the final 3. Anyone goes up to Sammy and is like, they've been calling the shots. You don't want to sit next to him in the final 3. He's like, you're right. Force them.
Exactly.
That's it. One and it's done.
He's itching to blindside somebody.
Yeah.
He wants to blindside somebody so fucking bad.
It would be so crazy if they voted out, if they got Jesse. And they pulled, but do they know he has an idol though?
Nobody knows it. Nobody knows he has an idol.
Like, obviously, very strategically pull off a blindside, but then also
Noelle knew.
Cody, he has 2 idols, so he could play.
He has Cody's idol and he has and Janine's idol that he got from Dwight.
So he could technically, if they're not careful, and one like.
He could play both. They could play both idols, yeah, right. And save them. And
the
fuck.
Power of people not knowing that you have an idol.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think. I think Carla knows that Cody has one because somebody made a reference to him building a hat, and she was listening with the beads. So I think she knows that he has one. Jesse knows that she has one. Cody obviously knows that Carla has it too, but nobody knows that Jesse has Janine's. Yeah. He's the only one that knows. I'm assuming maybe Cody knows too, but that doesn't matter. Nobody knows.
No, Dwight's.
He has. Well, it was Janine's. Janine gave it to Dwight. Dwight gave it to fucking Jesse like a dumbass. Like, okay, idiot. But yeah, so it's funny that, I mean, they can't go look for idols at this point, but yeah, we'll see. This next episode should be good. I cross my fingers. I hope it fucking heats up. It should be good because something big could happen from Big Gabe.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You'd love to see it.
Yeah, we will see. It's starting to heat up on this one, so more to come. We will get at you next week. Hopefully Big Gabe makes the move that we think he's going to move, or he might be getting got, but we'll have to see. All right. We out.
Bye-bye.